got a couple mobile homes sitting on the sidewalk. Americans sleeping on the streets. Minimum shelter for sleeping. And that's what he's doing.
Department decided that Minnesota authorities won't be part of the investigation. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem explained the decision.
They have not been cut out. They don't have any jurisdiction in this. I'd like to know where they've been and why they're not out on the streets investigating all of these people that are harassing and inciting violence on law enforcement officers right now.
House Speaker Mike Johnson weighing in as well on Friday, saying a full investigation will take place.
We all understand there has to be a full investigation. That's the appropriate thing. That will happen.
Anti-ICE protests are now spreading from Minnesota to Portland. That's after federal immigration officers shot and wounded 2 people in a vehicle on Thursday.
Pittsburgh
According to
probably
Homeland
get into
Security,
it
the
too.
driver tried to run the agents over during a targeted vehicle stop. The department also says the 2 are members of the transnational criminal organization Trendy Aragua. According to new numbers from Homeland Security, attacks with vehicles on ICE agents are up by over 3,000% from 2024 to 2025. A spokesperson tells Fox News that the Thursday shooting was justified.
Our law enforcement network bankrolled by a China-based billionaire named Nelvaroy Singham.
But when those things happen, and they're sensitive and they try to support, quite frankly, our enemies, and China is not a friend to the U.S., then my guess is there's probably some illegal activity.
Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna described Singham as the funding arm of the CCP.
He is definitely someone that is anti-American in ideology, and regardless of where you might stand, even on topics like Israel versus Palestine, is funding certain groups that actually sow discord in this country with no efforts to actually resolve the issues, only to get us to fight one another.
Congresswoman Luna has moved to subpoena Singham to testify before the House Oversight Committee, emphasizing that if Singham doesn't comply, lawmakers will hold him in contempt.
What we've uncovered is I feel like the tip of the iceberg still, and so there's a lot more work to be done, and then bring the swift arm of justice behind it.
The committee will probe the links between Singham and the CCP. When she made the motion to subpoena Singham on Wednesday, the top Democrat on the committee urged his side of the aisle to support it.
I understand his concerns. I'm going to recommend that we vote yes on the Luna motion.
The pro-Beijing billionaire has been under the microscope for several months. The Oversight Committee opened their investigation into Singham last summer, and former Senator Marco Rubio previously referred him to the DOJ. Reporting from Washington, D.C., Melina Weisskopf.
In Minneapolis last night, near the site of the shooting. Attacks on ICE agents have already been increasing in recent months. Activity is now growing even further after Wednesday's incident. Protesters also marched to the White House last night. Similar to the situation in Minnesota, protesters in Washington are calling on ICE agents to leave the city. Fox News that the shooting was justified.
Our law enforcement officers pulled them over as they were approaching the vehicle. When the subjects realized who our law enforcement were, they pulled forward, attempting to hit our law enforcement, and that's when our agent, he again followed his training and fired defensive shots.
According to DHS, both suspects entered the U.S. illegally under the Biden administration. Both were released into the country. DHS said the male suspect had been arrested for driving under the influence and unauthorized use of a vehicle. He had already been subject to a final order of removal. The department said the female suspect was part of a Trendy Aragua prostitution ring. DHS added that she was involved in a prior shooting in Portland. The department said the 2 suspects are not married, despite earlier reports. Meanwhile, Oregon's Attorney General announced an investigation into the shooting. And after the altercation last night, the Portland Police Bureau says 6 people were arrested near an ICE facility. Those arrested range in age from 24 to 48. Most are from the greater Portland area. All 6 were booked on suspicion of second-degree disorderly conduct. Police say they asked protesters to move to the sidewalk and stop blocking traffic. That request was made around 9 p.m. local time. Tensions ratchet up to issue a ruling today on a challenge to President Trump's authority to impose tariffs. The High Court heard arguments in November. Trump imposed tariffs by invoking the 1977 International Emergency Economic Powers Act. The president says the tariffs are necessary to address what he has described as a national emergency regarding U.S. trade deficits. Trump has imposed tariffs on China, Canada, and Mexico, citing the trafficking of fentanyl and illicit drugs into the United States. Trump has also imposed reciprocal tariffs on goods imported from other nations that trade with the U.S. Businesses impacted by the tariffs and 12 states brought the challenges. That's the estimate released today by the Bureau of Labor Statistics. It's down from 64,000 jobs that were added in November. The number also falls short of the 55,000 new jobs economists were expecting. The report also reflects a job market that is stable enough to give investors hope the Federal Reserve will cut interest rates this year. The BLS also reported an unemployment rate of 4.4%, down from November's four-year high of 4.6%. The director of the National...
4 months. This one was about an expectation. And if you look at the underlying fundamentals, the unemployment rate went down. And you know, they do two-digit rounding. It was actually like down almost 2% if they were rounding. And the bottom line is the thing we care most about for the future of the labor market is what's happening to wage growth. Yeah. And if you look at the wage growth for this year, manufacturing wages, for example, were up $3,000 per worker. And so that's the kind of thing that marks a healthy labor market. You know, under Obama and Biden, there was basically no real wage growth.
I tell you that Somaliland, for example, just a few days ago, supported what America did in Venezuela. Mm. How many African countries have done that?
I mean, Middle Eastern countries.
Stating clearly their support. It's a pro-Western, friendly with Israel, moderate Muslim country. Why shouldn't we be in touch with them?
Yeah.
No one can decide for us who to recognize and who to have diplomatic ties. We saw so many countries in the world recognize the virtual state of Palestine. It's not an existing
basket case. Even if a person supported it, a Palestinian state, it's a basket case. It's filled with terrorism, corruption,
but there's no such a state.
Right.
In comparison, you have a state named Somaliland controlling, and if you look at the Phoenicians, according to the international law, they are deserved to be recognized as a state. So I hope that many countries will follow suit, and I think it's the right thing to do, the just thing to do, but also wise thing to do, because around this place you have a lot of radical trends. So you need to strengthen those who are really moderately seeking people.
Yeah, especially this is right across the waterway from Yemen, which has been firing ballistic missiles at us. Well, my only criticism, because I totally agree with the decision, is you didn't take us with you. But next time
I couldn't. The security agency was very tough with us.
Fair enough.
And they were like, we did all that discreetly because we had a very tough restrictions. But okay.
I'm mostly kidding.
I believe it's not the last time I will be.
Good. I appreciate it. Let's also talk about, you just mentioned Venezuela, the stunning and supremely successful decision by President Trump to capture and arrest the madman Nicolas Maduro, narco-terrorist. Israel immediately came out in support of that decision. Why? And what was Iran and Hezbollah doing in terms of building an alliance on the ground in Venezuela?
First of all, Maduro is not the legitimate president. Right. He lost the last elections. The fact that he's a tyrant or a dictator, he's not the legitimate ruler of Venezuela. From an American point of view, the narco thing was very essential. But
the amount of drugs moving into the United States on purpose.
Yeah. We know that Maduro and Venezuela under Maduro and previously under Chavez was the gate for Iran and Hezbollah to enter to South America. And from there, to send their arms like an octopus, and they had a lot of also, first of all, military cooperation, and secondly also
help. They're always looking to what is going on in the United States, specifically in the White House. And look, there's a stark contrast between how Barack Obama responded in 2009 to the Green Protest movement to, again, what we're hearing from President Trump today, which has been, I would say about fourth or fifth time we heard from him in a press conference today, reiterating his warning to the Iranian regime. And I think if you take President Trump's warnings in light of the recent U.S. operation in Venezuela, removing Maduro and extraditing him to the United States, and also in light of the 12-day war in which the United States fully destroyed the Iranian nuclear program, if I were in the regime's shoes, I would be taking these threats very seriously from President Trump.
And of course, the big question now is, could this latest wave of protests lead to an overthrow of the regime? What are your thoughts?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think, again, because this time is very different, all those factors that I mentioned, look, the 12-day war, as an example, really left the regime completely exposed and vulnerable, and its own population knows that. The Israelis wiped out Iran's missile system. Their skies are just completely open for further attack. The nuclear program was decimated by the United States, and also the Israelis took out the top leadership, not just of the nuclear program, but also of the IRGC. And so, you combine that with 47 years of oppression and repression by this theocratic, radical Islamist dictatorship, and, all of their violent oppression, the fact that they have taken a very oil-rich and energy-rich country and somehow have left the population impoverished, all of those factors together combined have led to this moment, which is the Iranian people wanting to take back their country. I think if you want to understand it from the average person's perspective, the way they see it, 47 years ago, the Ayatollah Khomeini made all kinds of promises of free housing and free this and free that, and it's something that I think in the United States we're hearing more of these days from our own politicians. And so the Iranian people 47 years ago were sold a fake bill of goods. For 47